Well, Happy New Year. Hope you had a restful and peaceful Christmas. And you're looking forward to the year 2020. And one of the first jobs I'm doing in 2020 is tackling this very dead looking plant, which is the Chisqueya gigantea bamboo from Chile. And this, if you remember, if you watched my earlier videos, you know it flowered last year and continued to flower throughout all of 2019. And when it flowers, this type of bamboo dies, so all the foliage, as you can see, it's all gone brown. The leaves are pretty much all fallen off, and you're just left with the basically all flowers here on the culms. And this bamboo, I need to remove it now. And you may be asking, have I kept the seeds? Well, I haven't tried to collect the seeds, but I know that in the ground there'll be plenty of seeds. If they germinate, great, I'll pot some on. If not, well then this plant's gone for this generation in my garden. But I know plenty of other people have collected the seeds and will be growing this magnificent species on in future years and decades. Could just take a long time to mature. Now this bamboo itself, I'm going to remove it. So I've got my loppers. I'm going to go in at the base and chop these down, and it's a huge tall bamboo, so it's about 4 to 6 meters tall at the moment. It didn't get to its full height in my garden before it started flowering, but it's still a very big bamboo even at this age. And unlike most bamboos, it's pretty deep rooted, and it's also got solid canes or culms. So the culms, when they're growing, when you chop them off, they're called canes, and I'm going to keep the canes for use for projects around the garden. But because they're solid, they're going to take a bit more elbow grease to actually get these out and chop them off at the base. And some of these are about 2-3 centimeters across, so they're quite hefty culms. Really give it a really good showy appearance in the garden when this plant's growing. But I'm going to tackle this plant now. I'm going to cut it down, and we've got space for something else. So let's go in now, down to the base of this really big one here, and get my loppers and cut through that. Just a little bit snagging at the end, and you can see that it's a very thick culm. It's not wanting to give up. But it's about, it's thicker than I thought at the base, about 3.5-4 centimetres all across. That's one down. We've got about 100 or so to get through. So let's see what this space looks like without this bamboo. And now all the Chisqueya gigantea bamboo has been removed, and it's left quite a big area. And so if we take a closer look at that area, it was about a good 2.5 meters by about nearly 2 meters coming this way. So it's a nice big area to use in the future. And you can see on that side we've got the Shanghai 3 bamboo, which is quite spindly with not many thick culms. And on this side we've got the Phyllostachus iridescens, which is mainly quite spindly, but then it's shot out this great big culm last summer. On the other side of this little Trachycarpus, it was planted here as a seedling about 6 years ago, literally as a 2-strap leaf seedling. Obviously not the best place for it because bamboo swamped it. And the actual culms are all here. So there's a lot of work now to remove all this. It won't just fit in one little wheelie bin, but I'm going to keep all the canes. I'm going to strip all the canes to get all the old twigs and leaves off the sides, get rid of them to the recycling, and then keep all the canes for use in the garden. So the next job will be to think, what am I going to use this space for? Well, we've got to talk about the weather and how mild it's actually been for the last few months, really. I know we've had some cold nights back in early October and November and early December, But the forecast for January and the last few weeks have actually been really mild this time of year. Been able to work outside without a coat, hardly, don't think I've seen a scarf this winter at all, and it's just been sort of, not too cold at all. The nights for the last few weeks have not been down to freezing, and there's no frost. Well, there's no sub-zero temperatures in the forecast for the next few weeks. Might get a light frost, but no sign of snow or any really bad weather, which is fantastic for most of the plants in the garden. Obviously we've got to look out for if it's going to be really wet or windy, because we'll get a few storms with the mild weather, but it doesn't look like we're going to get the really killer cold winter that we normally get every so often, and not even a normal winter where we get some -5s or something like that with some snow. That isn't in the forecast either. So it means plants are growing, and the Musabatu's pushing out leaves slowly over the last few days. We've got the Acacia delbata starting to flower, which does flower in early spring and very late winter, but it's very early for it to be doing so here. We've even got cannas, got Canna Cleopatra for instance, shooting out from the ground and starting to grow already. It's amazing really. And we've also got other plants that are growing far earlier, or not expected this time of year. And we've also got plants that are not covered up. So we've got the Cycas revoluta, which I've not protected and still fully green. We've got the Trachycarpus martianus as well, and that's still looking good without any protection whatsoever. So it's great that we're here in winter and we're able to be outside, not absolutely freezing, and see lots of greenery. Right, let's go and plant some seeds. Right, I'm going to start off this Tropalium specium flame nasturtium, Scottish flame flower seeds. That's a bit of a mouthful, which are hardy perennials, and take a bit of a process to get these to germinate, including soaking them in water, scarifying them, having them at room temperature for a few weeks, and then having them at freezing for several weeks, and then back to warmer conditions. So quite a long process to get these to germinate. So the first thing to do is soak these in water for a couple of days. So I'll get them in water right now. Right, I'll put the seeds in the water, and you can see the little black seeds, very hard. They're all floating at the moment, so I'll give them a stir, and they can stay in some water for a couple of days until they hopefully swell up.